The air is heavy. The candlelight flickers against old, worn wood. A faint hymn echoes in the distance, a haunting melody of faith, pain, and redemption. In this sacred silence begins The Testament of Anne Lee, a film that brings to life one of the most mysterious and controversial women in American religious history. Starring Amanda Seyfried as Anne Lee, this is not just another historical drama. It's a revelation, a confession, and a journey into the depths of belief and human endurance. Amanda Seyfried, known for her emotional power in films like Les Miserables and Mank, transforms entirely in this role. She embodies Mother Anne, as her followers once called her, the woman who dared to claim she spoke for God, the woman who redefined faith through suffering and sacrifice. In The Testament of Anne Lee, Pullman and Thomasin McKenzie join her as followers torn between devotion and doubt, bringing to life the story of a movement that changed the very soul of early America, the Shakers. The film opens in Manchester, England in the mid-1700s, a world of industrial smoke and spiritual confusion. Anne Lee works long hours in a textile mill, the sound of looms thundering like Judgment Day. Her face, pale and desperate, reflects the exhaustion of an entire class of forgotten souls. But something stirs within her, a voice, a whisper that she cannot ignore. "The time is near at hand," she says softly, trembling. "I know it, do not be frightened." This single line, lifted straight from the trailer, carries the weight of prophecy. It's as if heaven itself has spoken to her, and she cannot turn away. From that moment, the movie takes us deep into the mystical visions that drive Anne Lee. We see her collapse in tears, praying on the cold stone floor. We see the first tremors of a movement born from agony, the Shaking Quakers, who would later be known simply as Shakers. Through a masterful script and stunning direction, The Testament of Anne Lee transforms these moments into something more than religious history. It becomes a psychological opera of faith and trauma. Every note of the musical score, composed by Nicholas Britell, whose past work includes Succession and Moonlight, resonates with trembling intensity. As Anne Lee's visions deepen, so too does her suffering. The film portrays her imprisonment for blasphemy, her torment at the hands of society, and her internal struggle between divine love and unbearable loss. In one scene, Amanda Seyfried whispers through tears, "All of us have suffered on our journey. We have made tremendous sacrifices to receive the greatest love one can experience." That line, echoing through candlelit darkness, becomes the soul of the movie. The cinematography, led by Linus Sandgren, La La Land, paints every frame like a Renaissance painting. Gold, smoke, and sorrow merge into a world that feels both real and dreamlike. Anne Lee's visions are shown as luminous floods of light, doves swirling in slow motion, and ghostly faces singing in divine ecstasy. It's breathtaking, yet deeply unsettling. As Anne Lee gathers her followers, the story shifts to New York State, where the Shakers settle after fleeing persecution in England. Here, the American wilderness becomes a symbol of both freedom and isolation. The forests of Albany County are quiet, the river still, but inside the Shaker community, fervor burns like wildfire. Pullman plays James Whitaker, Anne's most loyal follower who believes her every word. His eyes burn with fanatic devotion. But there's doubt in the heart of Rachel, played by Thomasin McKenzie, a young woman whose faith wavers as she watches Anne. Lee's prophecies grow darker. The film explores not just religion, but obsession, the price of blind belief, and the fragile line between salvation and madness. There are scenes of ecstatic dancing, trembling hymns, and brutal punishments. The Shakers believe that physical purity brings divine perfection, a belief that tears at their humanity. In one unforgettable sequence, Anne Lee collapses during a ritual dance, her voice echoing through the hall. Legend has it, this is what happened to Anne Lee. The camera pans upward, her body shaking, her eyes filled with both terror and transcendence, as the voices of her followers rise like a storm. This haunting moment blurs the line between myth and truth. Did she truly hear the voice of God, or was she a woman broken by grief, haunted by her past? The film refuses easy answers. Instead, it draws the viewer into Anne's mind, a place of both divine beauty and unbearable torment. Throughout the film, Amanda Seyfried delivers a performance of astonishing depth. Her voice wavers between prayer and madness. Her movements are trembling yet graceful, like a flame that refuses to die. Critics have already begun calling it her most daring role since Les Miserables. Behind the scenes, director Sarah Polley, Women Talking, infuses the story with a feminine lens rarely seen in historical dramas. She portrays Anne Lee not as a saint or a heretic, but as a complex woman fighting for her soul in a world ruled by men. The film's title, The Testament of Anne Lee, isn't just a reference to her teachings, it's her confession, her spiritual will. It's what she leaves behind after a lifetime of faith, pain, and vision. As the narrative unfolds, Anne faces persecution not only from outsiders, but from within her own community. Whispers of betrayal grow louder. A rift begins between those who believe she is divine and those who see her as delusional. The emotional climax arrives in the final act, a scene set on a frozen lake in New York's Hudson Valley. The Shakers gather for what they believe will be a revelation. Anne, weak and feverish, walks onto the ice. "The time is near at hand," she says again, this time not as prophecy but as acceptance. The wind howls, cracks form beneath her feet. The followers cry out, torn between saving her and letting the miracle unfold. It's a sequence of overwhelming beauty, silent, tragic, and transcendent. Amanda Seyfried's performance in this scene alone could define her career. When the screen finally fades to black, the audience is left in silence. Only a final hymn remains, a ghostly echo of faith lost and found. Critics are already calling The Testament of Anne Lee one of 2025's boldest films, a work of haunting artistry that merges the spiritual and the human in a way few movies dare. Insiders describe it as part biopic, part musical revelation. Every song feels like a prayer. Every prayer feels like a confession. And it's not just a story about religion, it's a story about women, power, and the eternal human search for meaning. Anne Lee's teachings on celibacy, equality, and communal living may have once been radical, but in this movie, they echo like warnings for the modern world. A world still hungry for faith, but terrified of truth. Industry experts believe Amanda Seyfried could be a frontrunner for an Academy Award nomination. Pullman and Thomasin McKenzie are being praised for their nuanced portrayals of devotion and doubt, and Sarah Polley's direction is already being described as visionary. Beyond its artistry, The Testament of Anne Lee opens a door into forgotten history. The Shakers were real, a small religious sect that believed in equality between men and women, communal living, and spiritual purity. They built beautiful furniture, sang hymns that still survive today, and danced to express divine joy. But their numbers dwindled. Their leader died, and with her, perhaps, a piece of heaven died too. The film invites us to imagine what it felt like to live in that world, to dance until the spirit filled your body, to believe so completely that love itself could destroy you. As the trailer's haunting lines repeat, "The time is near at hand. I know it. Do not be frightened." We understand that Anne Lee's voice is not just speaking to her followers, she's speaking to us, to every soul that has ever doubted, ever searched, ever loved something greater than themselves. In many ways, The Testament of Anne Lee isn't about religion at all. It's about faith in the unseen, faith in something worth suffering for. It's about the cost of conviction, and the thin line between enlightenment and madness. When the lights fade and the credits roll, you can't help but sit in silence, haunted by her words, by her pain, by her fire. You might even ask yourself, what would I sacrifice for the greatest love one can experience? This Christmas, as The Testament of Anne Lee opens in theaters worldwide, audiences will witness a story unlike any other. A story born from ashes, sung through tears, and immortalized in faith.